Good afternoon, my YouTube viewers. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about confidence intervals and what confidence intervals are and what they're used for. So in the world of statistics, the concept of confidence intervals serves as a fundamental tool for making inferences about a population based on sample data. Confidence intervals provide a range of values within which we can reasonably be certain that a population parameter, such as a mean or proportion, lies. A confidence interval is a range of values derived from a sample that is likely to contain the value of an unknown population parameter. The interval has an associated confidence level that quantifies the level of confidence that the parameter lies within the interval. Common confidence levels are 90%, 95%, and 99%, with 95% being the most frequently used. The confidence level represents the proportion of times that the confidence interval would contain the population parameter if the experiment were repeated multiple times under identical conditions. So you've got a formula on how you can calculate the confidence interval. The calculation of a confidence interval depends on the nature of the data and the population parameter being estimated. For a population mean, the formula for a confidence interval is given by CI is your confidence interval equals X hat, that's your sample mean, plus or minus Z, that's your confidence level value, times S, the sample standard deviation, divided by the square root of N, which is the sample size. For a population proportion, the confidence interval is calculated using the following formula. For a proportion, CI, that's your confidence interval for the finite population, equals P, that's proportion of successes, plus or minus Z, C, that's Z value for a confidence level, times P, the square root of PQ, so that's the proportion of successes times the negative probability, divided by N, that's the number of elements in the shape, times the square root of N, the number of elements in the population, minus N, the number of elements in the sample, divided by N, the number of elements in the population, minus 1. So that's your formula for the confidence interval for a proportion. So we're going to talk about interpreting confidence intervals. Interpreting confidence intervals requires understanding the confidence level and the context of the data. A 95% confidence interval means that if we were to take 100 different samples and compute a confidence interval for each sample, we would expect approximately 95 of the intervals to contain the population parameter. It is important to note that the confidence interval provides a range of plausible values for the parameters, not a definitive value. So we give the significance in statistical analysis. Confidence intervals offer several advantages in statistical analysis. Number one is the precision of estimates. Confidence intervals provide a measure of the precision of an estimate. Narrower estimates indicate more precise estimates, while wider intervals suggest greater variability in the data. You have a comparative analysis. Confidence intervals enable researchers to compare different groups or conditions. Overlapping intervals suggest no significant difference, while non-overlapping intervals indicate a statistically significant difference. and you have inferential insight. So confidence intervals offer insight into the reliability of the sample estimate as a representation of the population parameter. They help quantify the uncertainty associated with the estimate. And then you have practical applications. Confidence intervals find applications in various fields, including healthcare, economics, engineering, and social sciences. For example, in clinical trials, confidence intervals are used to estimate the efficacy of new treatments. In economics, they help assess the impact of policy changes on economic indicators. Engineers use confidence intervals to ensure the reliability and safety of manufacturing processes. And social scientists employ them to generate survey results to broader populations. So that concludes what we're going to talk about on confidence intervals. And the next videos, we're going to be going over some practice questions. So I hope that you decide to watch the videos on practice questions.